I've come to St Luke's Church in Chelsea for the memorial service of Sir Peter O'Sullivan, a remarkable man who spent getting on for 50 years behind the microphone, and for a large part of that 50 years his voice became the soundtrack of racing. He had friends far and wide, not only just in racing, and many of those will be here today. The church will be packed to celebrate a remarkable life. Geoffrey, the Sir Peter O'Sullivan Charitable Trust has raised a lot of money over the years, over £4 million in getting on for 20 years. And it's in safe hands and it's continuing?
Absolutely. I mean, I think we'd be struck down from above if any of the trustees decided to abandon ship. I really do. I mean, so for that reason alone, we will... No, but we're all absolutely committed. I mean, Peter, on so many occasions, before or after we'd had a few drinks, sort of made it absolutely clear that, you know, the trust was something that must go on, and we all absolutely believe in it. I mean, he's done wonders, and the 6 charities were very close to his heart. We will look at maybe some new ideas in the future. After the lunch this year, we'll maybe come up with something new, but very much it's going to continue, and I hope it's going to grow and prosper. No reason why not.
What an occasion this is, Brian.
It's a great privilege to host Peter's memorial service here in the parish church of Chelsea, and we seat lots and lots of people, so we hope that all the pews will be filled.
Wonderful voice, great sense of occasion, great journalistic brain. He also had a wonderful sense of the absurd, and I think was always well aware of that. But almost I'm as impressed with what Peter did in retirement as what he did in his career, because the money that he's raised for the various charities that he's supported has been phenomenal. And the support that he has had, and you'll see it from people turning up today, you know, who are part of every decade of his life. And obviously I was the later bit, but it was just a privilege to know him.
A wonderful, wonderful man, and proud to call him my friend. And I've spoken at several of his great lunches, which were all done for charity, as you know. And of course, it's a wonderful life, and he had a great, marvellous run. But he's going to be missed for even longer than he lived. He was an asset to racing. He was a gentleman.
He just loved life, didn't he?
And a glass of wine.
The tattered outlaw of the earth, of ancient crooked will, starve, scourge, deride me. I am dumb. I keep my secret still. Fools, for I also had my hour, one far fierce hour and sweet. There was a shout about my ears and palms before my feet.
He ignited my passion for racing. When we were at school, we used to sort of listen to his calls, and I always wished when I was at school and when I was a young teenager, I'd love to have some horses good enough for him to call.
When Dawn ran one at Cheltenham, how many times have you heard that Sir Peter commentary?
I've replayed it a few times. Fantastic commentary, really, and something that sticks in your mind. You'll never forget it. You know, he was a marvellous man, a marvellous voice, wasn't it?
He just seemed to... He brought the whole occasion to life, didn't he?
He did, actually. It was brilliant. It was exciting as the race was happening, but when you heard the commentary after, it made it even better, really. You know.
I outscooped him once at Leicester, and he couldn't. It was a story about Fred Rymel, and next time I saw him, because they had it splashed all over the back of the Express, exclusive, but I happened to pick up the same story. It was the Ragtray's owner taking Teasy Weezy, taking the Grand National winner away from him. The next time I saw O'Sullivan, because the Sun, we had it all over the back page, exclusive as well, and O'Sullivan wasn't best pleased about this, and he walked past me and said, "You're a very, very bad man." And for about 6 months we were sort of nodding terms, but we were great pals in the end, and I loved him.
Can I tell my very quick story?
Yes, of course.
I said to him the other day, do you remember this wonderful story I heard? I said about Pam Sly, still training today, training in the 70s, and Malcolm Bastard, who you always called Malcolm Bastard, riding for her. Did you one day really, when they had a winner at Newbury, say, "And as they run towards the line, it's another win for the Sly Bastard combination"? And he said, "Oh yeah, I like that one. Keep it going, my boy, keep it going." He loved it.
The eye can hardly pick them out from the cold shade they shelter in. till wind distresses tail and mane. Then one crops grass and moves about, the other seeming to look on, and stands anonymous again. Only the groom and the groom's boy with bridles in the evening come.
The commentary that stands out for me the most obviously was Don Runwell in the Gold Cup, and I think for a lot of reasons it'll probably be a lot of people's one that stands out, but he had the most distinguished, most recognisable voice probably that racing has ever had, maybe ever will have, and probably ever will have. So he was a great man, and someone that even the younger people like me, which is not something I say very often, someone that you look up to, and say he was a huge figure in racing.
I love to call him Sir, because he really was a Sir, and I just love to call him Sir Peter. And I had some nice evenings with him at the Savoy when we used to go for the Derby dinner. We used to go up to his apartment prior to that, and he really was a person that you never heard him say a bad word about anybody.
Honours and achievements didn't define Peter O'Sullivan, though he accumulated plenty of them during his 97 years. His career was a series of towering successes, but his truest triumph was his nature. Probably the simplest tribute suited him best. He was great company. Peter didn't just enhance occasions, he enriched lives. The world was lucky to have his company for so long.
You're the proud owner of his scrapbooks, aren't you?
I am. A few years ago, he gave me 54 volumes. He kept every single thing he wrote. If the Daily Express said, see Peter O'Sullivan, page 7, he would snip it out and keep see Peter O'Sullivan, page 7. He left me in his will, don't get excited now, but he left me in his will his racing memorabilia of documents, including many of these wonderful grids that he would produce for the big races. And it's a fantastic experience. You're going through this massive paper and you suddenly come across Grundy and Bastino or Waldeniti. And it's to me, it's like Tutankhamun's tomb. It's just fantastic.
No, he was a man you were always the better for seeing.
And he was a friend as well, wasn't he?
Absolutely. I visited him many, many times. We used to travel together to the races back in the end of the 70s. From then, used to go to Ascot, Epps in particular, maybe Sandown. It was always great company. He used to drive a little bit fast, but that was the nature of the man, you know.
I heard he was a very fast driver. He liked driving, didn't he?
He loved driving. He was a good driver too.
For me, there is a buzz. It's a party. It's going to be a superb party.
That's what it should be.
Absolutely, I'm sure that's what he wanted.
They're under orders. They're under holy orders. And they're off, starting in the stalls. That's the choir stalls behind me. It's choir and soloists leading the way down the aisle with close connections tucked in behind. Next to show, it's the jockeys with Lester Piggott and John Joe O'Neill, A.P. McCoy and Mick Fitzgerald closing up on the rails. Pushing through on the inside now, it's the owners with Andy Stewart and J.P. McManus, the top weight, carrying £1,000 in petty cash. Passing the font now, that's the water jump on the left. It's the trainers, it's Gosden and Haggis, Henderson and Piper, Nichols making a run on the outside. Up to the west door now and coming to the turn. It's lads and lasses on the near side, and on the far side it's ladies and earls, knights of the realm, colonels and hereditaries. Into the porch now, swinging right-handed down the steps, it's QCs and Fleet Street hacks, OBs, MBs, clerks of the course, commentators, presidents and electors. Through the gates now and into the marquee, as they come to the line, first to the bar, it's Bookie's toast, followed by a glass of champagne with Rosé, the each-way favourite, delighting the crowd as they all gather in the winner's enclosure in celebration of a wonderful life. Wade in, wade in. You know they say it's not over till the fat lady sings. Well, here's the little French sparrow instead.
Non, rien de rien. Non, je ne regrette rien. Ni le bien qu'on m'a fait,
brought him back to life. It was fantastic.
Well, that was him actually, because I'd done all these lunches for him. So this time of year, I always associate this time of the year with doing a lunch for Peter O'Sullivan, and I thought I got away with it this year until the call came. And he had such a great sense of humour, and he would absolutely, knowing that I would have thought I'd got away with it until,
well, it would be lovely if you could just do a little one at the end. You know, it would absolutely be the cherry on the cake.
So he knew he got me. He knew I couldn't say no. So there was a little joke between us about he would always ask, I would always say no, and I'd always end up doing it in the end because you couldn't say no to Peter O'Sullivan.
Joanna, that poem, it just crackled with atmosphere. It was just wonderful.
It's sensational. It was so touching because mostly Philip Larkin's poems are a little bit spiky and a little bit depressing, and this was such an observation of beauty, these retired racehorses.
It was the most sort of tear-jerking Larkin poem I've heard, really, because it was just so... you could just feel it.
When I opened the envelope, and Peter had sent me 2 poems. The other was one that is quite often read at memorials, which was about, what a good sort he was and people loved him and so on. And this one, and when I went round and sat and I auditioned, as it were, over a glass, I said, Peter, there's this, read it and that. And he sat and listened and said, So he chose this.
In my view, the finest commentator of my generation, probably the generation before, and I'm pretty sure he would have been of the generation after. I mean, everybody knows the voice is absolutely, well, beyond anybody else's range. Homework and preparation immaculate, race reading unique, a great person to be with. And I thought today reflected that very appropriately.
Such a great friend, such a lovely man, and remember the early days when I was involved, and I hate to say the story that I will remember the worst, when he asked me how to pronounce a horse's name in the Supreme Novice Hurdle one year, and I said, don't worry, Peter, you won't have to mention it. It was a horse called River Kiriog, and it won by 20 lengths. And I said, you won't mention it, but he was wonderful.
And I'm sure he got it right all the same.
Well, he did, and he used to send me race cards of his when he'd put the colours on, and just a wonderful man that we'll always... He'll never be battered in that sphere.
He was like the Delphic Oracle. We still think he's here. There's no reason to assume that he isn't here with all of us forever, because he was the spirit and soul of racing and compassion in equal measures, and having fun and a drink and a party and a bet, but enormous compassion for fellow human beings, but also for every animal in the world that we as Homo sapiens sapiens might not have treated as well as we should have done. And to that extent, he truly sets the example to all of us.
It's just a great honour to know him, to have met him, and one of the best moments I had in racing was going round to his flat and sitting down with him and numerous other people and drinking champagne and discussing racing and what was going to win what. An absolute gentleman and, as I say, complete and utter privilege for myself to have known him.
Called lots of winners for me, of course, going back to Baron Blakeney, winning the Triumph Hurdle and many more.
And to hear that voice calling it must have been an extra special thrill.
It was a terrific thrill, and to hear the national winner called and everything, and to hear Rory Brender today, wasn't it marvellous? What a marvellous send-off that Rory gave him, and everybody here gave him.
Ça commence